Hello everyone, welcome back to another instalment of the British eRacing National Championship dissection breakdown review with our resident Zwift expert.
How do I become resident?
Well, you live here, and you are part of it.
Yeah.
It's Tim Fulford.
I don't have a flat on Watopia like you do, though.
Well, you ain't a player like me, are you? So let's get into this. For people that haven't watched the first video, you can click up in the top corner somewhere and you'll be able to watch that. That was the elimination race, but this is now the points race. So it's similar in terms of the elimination race, but instead of being the last one over the line, now you want to be the first one over the line, right?
You always want to be the first person over the line, but now the last person over the line doesn't get kicked out.
And you actually score points for being the first person over the line.
And you actually score points. So it's just like the other one, Chris. Anyway, it was 3 laps volcano, counterclockwise, 4.1 uphill sprint, 2-tier uphill sprint. Ooh, tasty stuff.
What?
So let's just stop it here. We can have a little bit of a draw, because who doesn't love a draw? So you can see this sign here. This is your option to go either straight up to the Italian village, or everyone else is going to come around here. And on the map up here, you can see, and this is the first bit of the climb, which is going to get steepest about here. About what percentage is it? 6 or 7%?
6, yeah, something like that.
And yeah, and it's a long way to go if you go from here.
Do you really need to draw that?
Okay, I've got some new toys. I'm going to use them.
All right, let's check this percentage out. See if we actually. We missed it. It probably went up to 6.
Well, that looks about 6, doesn't it? But you can see that people aren't throwing out a full sprint here. There's still some not orange numbers, but equally you've got to do enough to stay in there. And it's about, from experience, it's about 30 seconds from coming out of the rock tunnel, as Kim is about to do here. So if anyone's got an aero or a truck, they're probably going to want to pop it. Someone has already done that there. But if you've got a feather, you've only got 15 seconds, so you're going to have to do it a little bit later. But Kim is going long here. You can see the cadence isn't that high.
We've set straight off from we've only done 4K. We're getting points on this first lap. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. Dempster first. Bibby, Jeffers, consistent. So what is the aim of a points race? On the track, you've raced maybe 200 laps, and you get points every 10 laps. So there's loads of opportunities to get points in a normal points race. But here, there's only 3 opportunities, and the last opportunity is double points.
Yep.
Do you think that
the best for every points race, I think you you want to accumulate slowly, don't you? So you probably don't have the legs or the skill to do win unless you're far better than everyone else. So like accumulate slowly and then put all your effort into the final one.
Yeah, you definitely need to score every single time.
Yeah, the only problem with a points race compared to an elimination race, though, is if you get dropped, it's basically like an elimination race. You're not going to get any more points, which means you're not going to move up in the standings anymore. So it's not going to ease off as much, I don't think.
Can you pause it here? Can you just pause it? Tell us what's happening right there, because that all of a sudden, it seemed that in the elimination race, if you've not watched already, go and watch it. But in the elimination race, everyone pretty much sat together all the way through. But here, Ed looks like he's trying to do his old tricks again. He knows he's not a sprinter, so he's trying to just rip it apart and get away and take some points.
Yeah, so
but you can see that there's a big gap there.
From this perspective, there's 2 things. Is Ed wants to go get some points, but as we'll see, there's only a certain amount of points on every lap. So you've got Moses and Phillips and Bibby and Cam who came top 4, and the point, how they handed the points out in the British Championships meant that it was very, very good for coming in the top 4, and then it sort of slunk away towards the bottom. So as you can see, Ed has hit his aero and he's doing 7 watts per kilo. So he's really trying to get away from the whole thing here.
Youngi's seen that. Youngi's tried to get on the back of him because he needs to make time up if he wants to stand a chance of winning this national title.
Yeah, I think you can see from the leaderboard that Ed and Young need to make some time up, but also Moses can see the fact that if he's on that and being dragged away by other people, so smart move, but maybe he's overcooked it there.
Very smart if he stayed away.
Yeah.
Stupid if not. So he's burnt a match there, no doubt. He's burnt a bit of a match there to try and stay there. And Ed's now gone from the front to the back. So Moses there, he's dropped his featherweight and
he's dropped it on a good gradient, but you'd argue that the second part of this hill is where you'd want to do it.
Who's got the draft boost there? Is that Kim? That's the Kim,
yeah.
Isn't it? Yep. So this is coming up for the second sprint. Arrows, feathers.
Phillips has got an aero there. Arguably not the time to do it, but
it's a bit too late to tell him that now, isn't it? So Moses, is it who? Madison Genesis rider without a power up there. James Phillips using his power up to great effect there.
Yeah, he's perfected that, hasn't he?
Gav coming back at him though. So Gav won the first sprint. James takes the second sprint. It's good for a rider. If you think you're going to be strong on that last sprint, it's good for other riders who didn't get any points in the first sprint to actually get points in that second sprint, to take points away from everyone else.
Yeah, and you could also see that Mouldy and Young are now being spat off the back from that sprint as well, so they're going to have to work hard to get back in.
Was Steve ill coming into this, or?
Yeah, I don't know how ill he was, but I spoke to him on Friday after, and he sounded like death warmed up. So I don't think he was. I think he was a bit like Mouldy, really, not on top form, but not where he'd want to be, maybe.
No. Do you think some of these riders tapered for this? Do you think? Because I know that.
I don't think KSL the night before is much of a taper, is it?
No, I was going to say that. No, it's not really. So you had all the Madison Genesis riders there, and probably who was the other rider? Kim Little, maybe.
Kim and Steve didn't ride for the All Stars, I don't think.
No, they had a day off to freshen up. So what we're going to see here, then, we're not going to probably see much, are we?
No, but so you've seen Laverack and Mouldy are just off the back at the moment, but because everyone is obviously pushing very hard in the sprints, the main bunch aren't forcing the issue, which is perhaps a bit of a silly point of view from there, because as a bunch they will go quicker, and therefore a little bit of effort on the front would have prevented anything.
So you can see Mouldy coming back, Laverack coming back just 4 seconds, 3 seconds. So this is obviously not double draft then, is it? Because they wouldn't stand a chance of getting back there.
No, and I think an important point to point out from the points you can see there is Cam again picks up 2 points. So he's only got 4 points out of what could have been a possible 10. But again, it's very much weighted towards the final effort. But having been 10 seconds off the back, Ed has now gone off the front.
What the hell? I thought we'd gone to another race here.
Yeah, so he's shot through. Well, he's done what Cam did in the elimination, really. And I think it seems a bit silly, but why would anyone want to burn matches to bring him back when they know those matches might be used in the sprint, which is only 2 kilometers from here? So it was a strong move from Ed, as long as he was able to make it stick.
So look, you can see the points there. If Gav Dempster had have taken the full 5 points on that second sprint that James took, he'd be up to 10 points now, and he'd be a lot. Well, I know this sounds stupid, but he'd be a lot further up the road.
Well,
but
James
now
he's only in the first, so he'd have been on 4.
Yeah.
So there'd have been a 6-point difference.
So again, are we just going to twiddle our thumbs now until that was great to get 10 seconds, because it looked like he was going to come back. Draw some stuff on the screen, please.
So as we can see here, you can kind of break it up. This is where the sprint happened.
Look at that there.
And where he was also dropped using that effort there. So he then had to get back in this part here, and then he's thought, nah, let's just go for it. And so this is his attack now, which has managed to get him 11 seconds with 800 meters. Is it 800 meters? 900 meters, I think, to the next sprint point. So if he can hold on to that,
shrewd.
Then, and this is where we've got to think about it, Ed is not on that scoreboard at all. So if Ed can take 5 points here, that's taking 5 away from Gav, 5 away from James. He was first out of the elimination race. So not only is he perhaps giving Cameron a bit more of a rest because no one is going for that 5, he's also taking a 5 off anyone else, leaving for the final sprint. So Cameron doesn't necessarily need to sprint as hard in this sprint because the big numbers taken already.
There was 3 laps, but 4 sprints, weren't there?
Yes.
I've just realised that. I thought there was 3 sprints. No. And the thing is, they didn't. The points that they accumulated in the points rates didn't necessarily go towards the overall final, did it? Which I thought it would have. You would have taken the points and just added them to your first total. No. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
It was whoever won the points race was then given 25 points again as a.
Yeah. So looking at
it here,
prize. Along that flat point from the S's descent to the bottom of the hill, where we've got 3% here from Ed, he's taken another couple of seconds out, but he's only done it around threshold, so you can see that the bunch aren't moving very quickly, and perhaps to their detriment that they should have been working a little bit harder, because as we'll see in a minute, he does manage to take out the 5 points.
They're starting to press on now, though. But but
I think that's just what happens in when the road goes uphill in Zwift. If you're in the front of the A race, it tends to go orange. Interestingly, here, no one is yet to blow a power-up. So they either don't have them because they got experienced power-ups, or they have an aero, which they want to hold on for the last double point, which is only now 4k away. Ed just still holding sensibly high numbers. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, no one's actually used an aero there, only
so there's
a feather,
and
a draft. Hold on, who's got a feather here that's not used it? Mouldy. Mouldy, use it. Mouldy, press it. Press it, son.
No, I don't necessarily agree with definitely having to use it, because you're running a risk of a 1 in 5 chance of getting an aero next time round.
Them's are good odds. I like them odds.
So here we go. Ed's taken those 5 points and now dropped like a stone to the back of the course like he normally does, just sitting in the draft.
Sacrifice, that is. That's
yeah.
That's what the Queen gives MBEs for, things like that. I expect to see Ed Laverack on the Queen's honours list.
Queen's honours list.
At the end of the year for that move.
Oh. So yeah, we've got 9 left. Did Mouldy? Yeah, Mouldy's still in there. It's just Steve Young that's been dropped off.
The Python obviously needed
and
training.
Again, points race, very much a sprint race, but this isn't your there we go. This isn't your normal sprint, is it?
No.
Realistically. I'd just like to point this bit out here. There's 2k next to the final sprint.
Yeah.
Why Ian thought he'd be able to get away here, I have no idea. On a downhill,
he's a strong rider, let's be honest, but he's not that strong.
Downhill.
7 watts a kilo there.
Downhill against a blob. Did he do it because he didn't have an aero? I don't know.
Well, he's got a feather there, so at least he has something.
But we saw Ed was putting out solid numbers from here all the way home, and they nearly caught him, and no one used an aero in that catch.
And he was 11 seconds at this point, weren't he?
He was 11 seconds 5, at this point, and 13 seconds at the bottom of the hill. So you're kind of like, okay, interesting tactic from Ian.
Because he had a chance of winning this. He was up there still.
He was, but every pedal stroke he's taking now over threshold, he's diminishing his ability to take this, because it's about to go uphill and go into a sprint. You can see all these other people. He's been holding 6.5 for a while. Everyone else in the draft, 5.2.
This is where Ed comes into his own again. I think for me, this was the moment of the teamwork moment for me. Watching Ed sit at the front of that and start dragging it back.
Absolutely, and then Cam is just there. And he's put in all that effort, Ian, and his heart rate's 180, and now the climb starts. And look where he is now.
Exactly.
So Ed's put in a massive effort and then died. He's 11 seconds off the back. So Bibby is now at the back with only a feather power up, which he's now had to use to stay in the game.
Yeah. Well, you know.
So let's just stop it here. I know for a fact that Moses going into this sprint has an aero, and Cam has a feather. Just remember that as we see this now. If I was Tom, I would blow the aero there. So I'd have deployed the aero there. Someone at the back already has got their draft.
That's Kim.
Yep. So Kim's moving on up, perhaps too quickly with an aero.
Now that draft, that draft
and there you go. So if you look at it now, I'd probably say Cam has blown his feather a bit too quickly. He's more than 15 seconds away from the finish. He's got Bibby in front of him and Kim with a drafting power up on the front. All the best people do it.
Wow.
Moses has also, in fourth wheel there, just blown his aero, perhaps a little bit too late. He could have done less work for this whole previous bit here. So if we roll it forward, everyone is now basically deployed what they've got. You've got Bibby on the front, Kim trying to take a draft maybe, and Cam is hitting some big numbers. But
so Bibby made his way back to the front.
Pardon?
Bibby made his way back to the front after looking like he was dying.
Yeah, but I think he probably gave everything he'd got. I don't know what numbers. Yeah. They're all in high numbers here, but you can see Cam is 14.9 or something, which he's getting help from the feather to do that. But then I noticed this, and so here's Ian's point of view, and you can see where Cam, his feather runs out, and it runs out just as it goes negative. So it gets heavier just as he needs to when it's going downhill. So you can see up here in the top right, you've got the gradient, and Cam's feather has just run out as he's hit this line here.
He's a pro.
I think he's done that absolutely accidentally. So he's used the feather on the last climb of the last little bit of the climb, and then got heavier just as he was going downhill, which is when you want to do it, to then go into the last climb. There is absolutely no reason why Tom Moses shouldn't win this.
He will win it. He will win it, won't he?
No, that's the whole. Yeah. Oh, Christopher.
I'm bringing the tension. I'm playing the dumb one so we can go, oh my God, what's just happened there?
And so you've got now. I don't know if they called Pim or Moses winning that, but you've got Cam coming across the line first, having deployed his feather way too early, and then Moses not deploying his aero early enough. Followed up by Pim.
They gave that to Pim.
They gave it to Pim, did they?
Yeah, which is one of the reasons there was a bit of discord within. Is that the right word to use? Within
Madison Genesis.
Yeah. Heat of the moment and all that.
Yeah. So that was the points race. And I think that comes down to Ed Laverack stealing 5 points on the third sprint, and Ed Laverack working hard to close down Bibby in the final lap.
MVP. He comes away with nothing.
MVP.
But that's a sacrifice that a teammate makes.
Absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Ed Laverack, MVP, MBE.